Hi there, my name's Shawn, and I'm 17 years old. Today, I'm going to tell you about the time I became a butler for a single mom and her twin daughters. I wasn't born into wealth or money. My family were working class, and I went to a public school that wasn't known for its quality education. My parents worked hard to keep up with ends meet, and when I turned 13, I did all I could to help them as well. Mowing lawns, babysitting, dog walking, anything a 13-year-old could do realistically, I did it. I'm 17 now, and while my family's still staying afloat, money still isn't pouring in. Because of that, I made the choice to not go to college. I graduated high school and dedicated most of my time to part-time jobs and other side hustles. One day at one of my part-time jobs, my manager knew of my family's financial situation. She was a really nice and cool manager. She even allowed me to bring home some spare food so we didn't have to buy groceries for a few days. She pulled me aside one time and was like, "I know you're not rolling in riches, which is why I have this friend of mine who needs an assistant." Well, anyone who needs an assistant seems like the type of person to have enough money to afford one. Her name is Victoria, and she has a full-time job as a medical lawyer, so things at home can become very hectic. Well, now I know she's rolling in dough. And with her two daughters starting college, she needs someone to help her with the housework. I asked how much she would be willing to pay, and the hours included, but my manager just told me to talk to her herself, if I was interested. Obviously, doing housework and chores is simple enough, and if I can earn extra cash, then I wouldn't mind shifting around my schedule. She gave me her friend's phone number and address before telling me to get back to work before anyone notices my absence. When I got off my shift, I received a text from the number I got from my manager. It was Victoria, asking if I was the person interested in becoming her assistant. To cut a boring conversation short, she was offering $50 an hour from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday to Saturday. That's $500 a day and $3,000 a week. That's more than half the jobs I do combined. I responded to her that I'm definitely interested and that I'd love to meet her in person to discuss more details. I've been in more than enough interviews to know how to work a person. Victoria told me she'd love to as well, and told me to be at her house at 10 in the morning the next day. The next day, I drove into her neighborhood. I expected a giant mansion with an Olympic-sized swimming pool in the back. The house she lived in was nowhere near that size. It was an upper middle class, good size, but not a whole estate. Of course, to me, it might as well have been a mansion. I don't know why, but meeting someone who lived in a house as big as that intimidated me. I took the family car that time, but she didn't live that far from me, so I could take a bus when my parents worked. And in a month or two's time, I could probably get myself an older car as well. When I got out of my car, the front door was open, and a woman was already standing in the doorway. My nerves shot up solely from that. "You Shawn?" the woman asked when I came closer to the door. I nodded. "Yeah, nice to meet you." She gave me a smile, and that's when I noticed that she was very pretty. "Hello, Shawn. I'm Victoria Archer." She and I shook hands, and I took notice of her firm grip. She was experienced in meetings like these. "Come in, and we can discuss." She led me into her house. It was probably the nicest thing I've ever seen in my life. "My daughters are at their orientation. They'll be home soon." Basically, to sum it up, she needed someone to upkeep the house while she and her daughters were away from it. No one else is there to help, so it can get quite messy real quickly, even when they pick up after themselves. She said if the time was too grueling for me, we could adjust it, but I told her it was fine. I'd just have to make a few calls. A little after I arrived at her house, her daughters came home. They were twins, 18 years old. Their names were Rose and Ariana. Rose was older by 3 minutes. When they came home, the house instantly flooded with their loud, raucous voices. Victoria didn't seem surprised. "Girls, come meet Shawn," she called out. I could hear their footsteps come closer into the living room until they appeared in the doorway. My first opinion when I saw them was that they both looked like the perfect kind of people to get into rambunctious trouble. Well, I was half right. They did get into trouble, but they dragged me into it. "Shawn, this is Rose and Ariana," Victoria said. "They're both starting college in 2 weeks. You two, this is Shawn, our maybe housekeeper." The two of them looked at me, and suddenly they became all giddy, pushing each other around and giggling like schoolgirls. Victoria didn't seem surprised at it. Don't mind them. They get like that when they see an attractive boy. Well, I guess I should have been glad that they found me attractive. I suppose. After that, the twins stuck around for the rest of Victoria's and my talk. Everything was going fine until the end of it. Victoria and I shook hands on an established schedule. And as soon as we did, Rose and Ariana were arguing over who I would help. Come on, I'm the older child, so I get first dibs. By 3 minutes. And don't be so lazy that you can't carry things yourself. At least I throw out my water bottles. It got to a point where Victoria had to step in and instruct them to go upstairs to their bedrooms. I'm sorry about them. They can get quite carried away, she said. But what they said wasn't completely wrong. If one of them needs help, I'm paying you to help them. Well, you can't really argue with a sound argument like that. Mostly 'cause she was right. Well, that night, I called some of my managers and basically said, hey, yeah, I'm quitting. Thanks for a great time. So that was the end of that. I started the week before the twins went to college, and most of the jobs I did was tidying up the house and preparing meals. It wasn't anything I couldn't do. However, one thing that made my job difficult was Rose and Ariana. If they were home and I was there trying to do my job, they were in the same room with me. Hey, Shawn, could you help me with my room, please? Rose would ask, and then Ariana would butt in, asking me to help her clean out her car. Or something else. The two often got into small scuffles that would need to be broken up by their mother. I'm sorry for them. They can get quite rambunctious. Rambunctious is an understatement. They'd probably fight each other if they really wanted to. When they actually started going to college, both of them asked me to help carry their stuff. Rose was double majoring, and Ariana was majoring and minoring. So, because of that, they had a lot of school books. So, I helped them carry it to their respective classes. One would always thank me by buying lunch or a snack, and the other one would thank me by slipping me some cash. I wasn't going to turn them down either. They were literally tipping me for doing what I was told to do. It was a really easy way to make quick money. And besides, the twins fighting each other over me, it wasn't really that hard. One time during dinner, it was close for me to go home. But Victoria had a day off for the first time in forever. She wanted to reward me for doing my job exceptionally and not slacking off. So, she spent a few hours cooking up dinner herself. Rose and Ariana were also excited since they didn't receive home-cooked meals by Victoria a lot. She invited me to stay as well. I just finished cooking and you're going to leave? Come on, I made plenty. You can even take some leftovers home for your family as well. Well, with that logic, it made sense. She did make a lot, and it would save my family some energy. That was actually the first time I've sat down with them to eat. It was barely 10 minutes into dinner before the twins started their antics again. Hey, Shawn, did you know I aced my past tests? Rose asked. Well, I got recognized in my class for being top contributor, Ariana would interject. It was a constant back and forth of who was better than the other. Now, girls, I'm sure Shawn thinks both of you are amazing, don't you? She looked at me as if she knew she was already right. Well, yeah, I replied. I think double majoring and minoring are both amazing things to do. Even though I was honest, all three of them beamed at me. I'm glad you think that, Victoria said, because I'm aware of your family's financial situation, and I'm willing to lend a hand to you. Mom, don't try to butter him up. I was unfortunately caught between clashing familial feelings. Rose got angry, and Victoria, who in turn became more firm. I'm simply telling him he has options. No, you're trying to steal him all for yourself. I felt so awkward sitting at that table. Never before had I had 3 women argue over me so fervently. All right, fine, Victoria finally said. Why don't we just let Shawn pick then? All of their heads swiveled towards me like owls. And I had the sudden urge to go home, where I knew I was safe. Shawn, you have everything you could ever need or want here. I could even support your parents if you wanted, Victoria said. You've been a big help to my family. What better way to repay it than by helping yours? I mean, you could just give me money. That's really all I need. I don't need a big house or fancy appliances. Or you could just continue to help me and Ariana with our college, Rose said. It's more fun with people your age. I didn't miss the absolute emphasis on the last part. Or he could just continue being our servant like he has for the past month or so, Ariana said. Ari, Shawn is not our servant, Victoria said. He's an assistant. There's a difference. The only difference is he gets paid. Oh boy, things were really starting to heat up now. I felt like I had just willingly crawled into the lion's den. All of them didn't know whether to glare at each other or at me. They wanted me to pick, to choose between them, which I didn't even know how to. Who do you think I should have picked? Or who would be the best person to work closer with than others?